Hey everyone, I'm here with Anton Oliver of Headsmart Global out in the UK. You have tuned into the Kingdom podcast for consultants. Welcome, Anton. It's great to have you with us today.
It's absolutely my pleasure and an honor to be with you today, Pat. And we're looking forward and having some fun.
Good, good, good. So, hey, tell us a little bit about Headsmart Global, what you're working on, and kind of give us a point of reference here.
Well, Headsmart Global was actually born out of a previous engagement I had where I was coaching within another coaching company, their coaches. And eventually, through, long story, but I left that company. And I realized I coached over the last 3 years, probably over 1,000 coaches. And I realized all the questions that they had, what they were answering. And no one was providing that they were seeking. So I looked at Headsmart Global and I said, well, if this is a problem that I just have here, everybody must experience it. And I started researching this, and it came to me that everybody started researching and everybody started looking at where can I get the help? Where can I get the help? So I just said, well, what if I give you the help? But the fact of the matter is, I'm looking after the entrepreneurial spirit, the guy who has just retired, who wants to build something for himself and leave a legacy. But he can't compete with the big boys. So our motto is we're going to take the small guys and we're going to make them giants. Because what Headsmart Global is giving them is we give you every single tool you need to be successful. But not
Nice.
just are we just going to give you the tool, we're going to train you in how to use that tool. We're going to coach you in how to be successful. And hopefully our goal is we want to make a difference and an impact in those people's lives because they deserve to be successful.
Right. That's so amazing. So just tell me really quick here. What advice would you give to someone who feels called to enter this business, this field of business consulting?
Well, here's what I would say to anybody who comes to me who says to me, I want to go into the consulting space or the business coaching space or anything like that. The first thing that I would say to him, there's a couple of things that you need to realize that you cannot get away from. And the first thing is, it's not an easy industry. You've got to do the work.
Hmm.
If you think you're going to speak to a business owner and you're just going to tell him a story and he's going to pay you a lot of money, forget about it. You live in a delusional world. That's not how it works. This is all about one thing. No one is going to pay you good money that they are struggling to earn if they don't trust you.
Yep.
And you have to associate yourself because remember one thing, whether it's rightly or wrongly, but most people judge us by who we associate ourselves with.
That's right. That's right.
So I would 100% say to somebody, the first thing, find the right company that can provide you with the support, the systems, processes, and the training that has got your success at heart. If you
Oh,
do
you
this
mean
for the
there's
money, don't do it. You've got to have a purpose if you want to become a consultant or a coach. And that is, why am I doing it? Because I want to make a difference.
so
That's
you
the
is this
reason.
a calling, Anton? Do you feel like this is a calling or something you?
Absolutely. This is
Okay.
not a job. Becoming a coach or a consultant and everything like that is not a job. Trust me, when I started 10 years ago, I thought, well, it's just another job. I go out to do. No, this is not. And even in the last 18 months, I can hand on heart say today that this is a calling. This is the purpose that God has got for me in this world. He wants
Wow.
me to go out there, help other people because He's blessed me in abundance with knowledge and wisdom, which some of it I didn't even have 18 months ago.
Yeah.
But you've got to decide, why are you doing this? Ask yourself the question, why do you want to do this? If you want to say, I'm doing this because I want to make 100 grand a year, there's easier ways to make 100 grand. But if you say, I want to help 100 people have fulfillment in their life, and when I'm not there anymore, they would basically, that's how we get remembered. Not about the money we have or the car we drive. We're there. He made that possible for me. That's
Wow.
the impact that he made. And that is a calling. And that is why I'm doing this.
Wow, that's good. So someone comes to you and says, "Hey, Anton, I'll help you make 100 grand a year. We'll get you going. Take you 90 days." What do you think?
No, there's no way in a million years that that you can there's too many companies out there that tell lies by saying just come on here, it's going to cost you 25 grand to join and you're going to make 100 grand in 90 days. That is pure, blatantly a lie. It will not happen. Let me be honest. Anybody who will ever want to become a coach who listens to this, if anybody tells you you're going to make six figures within the first 6 months, run a mile. Because I can tell you from hard experience, blood, sweat, and tears, it took me 3.5 years to break six figures.
Okay, so let's put some qualifications around that. If you're just starting out as a coach, you don't have your system or consultant. Let's go with consultants. You're just starting out. Maybe you've come out of a certain type of career. You've been focusing on a certain company. Maybe you haven't been building your networks. You haven't been out speaking, all those things. You're just starting. Are you saying then it's probably not likely you're going to go out and make six figures in 6 months?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
Okay,
saying. Is it
great.
impossible?
Now,
No, I'm
the other
not
side
saying
of
it's
that,
impossible.
right? Well, there's always the 1% or the top 20%
Absolutely,
maybe.
yeah.
The other side of that is you've got someone who's been successful in helping others. They've got good networks. They're very smart in a business way. And it's not just they think they're smart, they're recognized as being smart and being a leader.
Yes.
Then what about that person? Is that possible in 90 days? You're going to go out and make six figures?
I can tell you with all honesty, probably. But
Okay.
if you want to do that, there is a few, I would say about 4 or 5 key elements that you have to recognize before I can honestly say to you, you'll make 100 grand in 6 months. And that is what in Headsmart Global, we address those things because most coaches come in and I say to him, who's your ideal audience? Who are you serving?
Right.
And they say, I haven't got a clue. Anybody who's got a problem. Now, you cannot run a build and start even a coaching business with that. You've got to know I'm serving this industry with that problem because in my 25 years of experience, when I worked in this job that I'm now coming out of, those are the problems that I solved.
Yeah.
Now you find the problem, you've got the solution. Now you align your ideal audience with that. Then you've got an above average chance to make 100 grand. But you also got to think at one thing. In the coaching world, a lot of people tell us, just get yourself a few one-to-one clients and you will be 100% you cool. But what they don't tell you is that, and I talk of experience, when you hit 5, 6 clients, you hit the glass ceiling.
Yep.
You
That's right.
can't go any further because a one-to-one model is not scalable.
That's
You
right.
have to go one-to-many if you want to make a bigger impact.
Right. So let's back up here a little bit. So we went down this road and we're talking about motivation now, and we're kind of, what's the word? We're decrying that motivation. We're really not seeking that motivation. Hey, I want to go make six figures in 90 days. What you started off with is where we go as well as in the consulting kingdom is seek first the kingdom. So, yeah, you said it very perfectly. It's like, how can I just go out and help whatever, 100 people, 25 people? Who can I help today? And if you go out and help people without looking for the money to say, I'm not going to help you unless you pay me. All right. That's like giving, so many businesses are just desperate for help. They're going out
The
of
main,
business left and right. And if you're out
I
there knowing you can help, but you just like, no, 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 you got to pay me if I'm going to help you anything. I mean, that's who is that person? Do you really want to
exactly,
work with that person?
exactly, because the main thing is the money becomes more important than the purpose and the outcome. That's the difference. You have to. I mean, I've been networking for. I've built my own coach when before Headsmart Global. I built my coaching on networking. And the one thing that a wise man once turned around and said to me, if you want to make an impact, then coach them without expecting anything in return.
Hmm.
That's the quickest way for you to build trust and for people to respect you, because then they see money is not the only thing that's important. What is important is the impact that you make. And then the other thing is if you want to do that and you want to really want to make an impact, I can say to anybody today, you know, if you don't have the Lord on your side and you don't walk the road with the Lord, you're going to struggle in any business that you do. And why am I saying that? And I get goosebumps from just talking about
Hmm.
it. It's because I've experienced it. I've experienced it. We get hardship in our life, and all of a sudden, you know, we're angry at the whole world. But what we don't realize, all you have to do is ask for help.
So walk us through something you've walked through. And you don't have to share anything too personal, but explain a little bit about something that you walked through, which was hard, maybe in the last year or
Well, I
so.
mean,
That
I'll tell you a little bit of backstory about me. In 2017, no, yeah, it was 2017. Um, I was coaching and it was really tough and it was really hard for me. And, and I was focusing on my problems and I was blaming everybody and blaming the whole world. And I was blaming God because he's forgotten me and everything like that. And my wife became ill. And in October 2017, my wife and I got evicted from our house. And we slept in our car in the car park
hmm.
of a big supermarket. And no one in the family knew. And my son found out. I don't even know how he found out.
Yeah.
So eventually, long story short, we went and stayed with my son. And we said, well, it's only going to be for a month. We ended up staying there for 6 months
Yeah.
because I was lost, completely and utterly lost. And I just said through pure motivation, I'm not going to let this do. And I basically called on the universe and this, but it was still a struggle. We try to grab and hold on to things, but then we got through that. But then the biggest thing happened to me in 2023. It was December 2023. And I won't mention names, but I met two wonderful people who's today dear friends of mine. And I didn't know who to share with because my wife had to go for scans because they were almost 80% certain that she's got bowel cancer. And it scared us to death because my mother-in-law died of bowel cancer. And I shared it with the company where I was coaching. I shared it with my team leader. And the most wonderful thing happened to me. I never knew that this could happen. But everybody in our team said that they'll pray for us. And I looked at this and I thought, wow. And I started praying. Because I stopped praying. Because I thought I was just praying and no one's listening. And I just turned around and I said, listen, if all these people are praying for me and for Teresa, maybe I should as well. And I started praying and, it was like I could feel this big weight being lifted.
Nice.
off my shoulders, and even Teresa. And anyway, it was towards the end of the year. We had the appointment with a consultant, and we were sitting in the waiting room, and we were the last persons there, and the nurse came out because she could see we were anxious, because I was sitting there, and every now and again I was crying because I was expecting the worst.
Right.
I was expecting the worst. And when my mother-in-law got bowel cancer, within 2 months she was gone.
Wow.
And you know how your mind just goes on a complete rampage. And the nurse came and he sat in front of us, and he put his hands on my leg and one of my wife's leg. He said, "Listen, I'm not supposed to tell you, but act surprised when you get in there. I looked at your file. You haven't got cancer."
It's amazing.
Pat, I'm getting goosebumps. I burst out in tears. And that's when I realized, how stupid have you been? And since then, that I can honestly say that I found God, and I now live with him, and he lives in me. Everything has changed. My
Hmm.
business has made I've got people now coming to me and said, "Anton, we want to work with you because we know you can help us,"
Wow.
which never happened before. So if there's one thing in my life that I can share with people that has changed it, not just personally, but also business wise, it was that. And the fact now, when I sit down and I look at things and I say to myself, I don't know the answer, but I know who does.
Yeah. Yep.
I will go and sit down. Sometimes I just go and sit in my car, in my driveway in front of the house. My neighbors must think I'm nuts, because to them it look, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to myself. But I just sat there and I just prayed. And everything that I was uncertain about, the Lord has given me the wisdom, the insight, the encouragement, the strength to take it by the horns, because I wasn't afraid anymore. And that
That's
is
amazing.
why Headsmart Global, from where it was 2, 3 months ago to where it is now and what we're planning, it's a difference like day and night.
So,
And that's important. If you want to be successful, I can't stress it more than, with more passion, in the fact that if you have God in your on your side, and I'm not saying you got to become somebody that stand on street corners with a Bible under your arm and just go. To me, my relationship with God is for me. I'm not scared talking about it. Just to think, 6 months ago, I wouldn't have this conversation with anybody.
right, right. You wouldn't be
Why?
able to.
Because most people would. My thoughts were, they might think I'm nuts. They might think I'm weird. But now I don't care.
Yeah. Well,
And
you've been to
that
the
is,
edge. That's right.
if there's one memory and a massive shift of a paradigm in my mindset, my life, my business, it's that. It's God.
So, this is really interesting because as consultants, we're running our own business. Every, we all know our business is full of challenges we have to face every single day,
Yeah.
different levels of magnitude. Some are so big you don't want to get out of bed sometimes. And like, oh man, I just wish it was Saturday morning or something, or
Uh huh.
Sunday or something, take a day off. But you got to go and tackle it. And then as a
Eventually.
consultant now, you're tackling the problems of your clients too. So at the end of the day, how do you sleep? Like you just put it aside and say, "Hey, done that for the day. I'm moving on. I'm going to go and hang out with Teresa and watch a show." Or what do you do?
You know what, Pat? 6 months ago, I would have laid awake until about 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, worrying myself to death about how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to help this client, how I'm going to, like when I coach for the other company, how am I going to structure this training and everything like that. Now, I I sit at my desk. If I get a problem, I look at it and say, okay, let systematically solve the problem. But tonight, when I want to go to bed, I know that I've already spoken to God about this.
Yep.
And I know that he's helping. He's already doing the work for me. He's going to give me that insight. And it is, for me, it is having faith that if you ask and you look at something, it comes to you like this. It comes to you like this. I had a major problem not 2-3 days ago in how we structure this whole thing. And I've closed my computer down and got up and I went, I spent time with Teresa and we set up prayers and I went to sleep. Because I know that tomorrow when I wake up, I'll have a solution.
Wow.
Or God will give me the insight to figure it out.
Yep.
Because if he gives us everything, we're never going to grow in our own self.
Yeah, that's right. So let's turn a little bit to what you're learning. What are some resources that you know of, some books, some videos, some training, some courses that have had a big impact on you, let's say in the last couple of years, that you think that our audience, people who want to be consultants, people who are consultants, would find really valuable?
Yeah. Well, looking at from my point of view as a consultant coach, but also as a coach coaching coaches and consultants, one of the biggest questions that we get asked as coaches, how do I generate leads? How do I use social media? And 2 books that I've read, which is actually right here, I'll share them with you. One is Expert Secrets.
Okay.
A book that was written by Russell Brunson.
Yep.
And the other one is Traffic Secrets.
Okay.
Now, these 2 books, if I want to reference something and I want to say, how can I help this client? 9 out of 10 times, if you go to either one of these 2 books, you get the answer. You get the idea. Yes, do you have to adapt it to suit the client? Yes. But these 2 books has been a very big inspiration in my business, in my growth, my own personal growth, specifically around our industry. The other one that is Challenge Secrets. How to do challenges, how to do them effectively, and that they work for you.
Yeah.
Now, everybody thinks, you know what, challenge is easy. You just get a bunch of people and talk to them for 5 days. No, it's not. The first 4 challenges that I've done was complete failures until I implemented the secrets in this book.
Wow.
And I said, that's how it works.
Well, this is really key think about what you've just said here, which is key for everyone. It's like starting a podcast. It's like doing any number of things. Getting up on stage and speaking, going and doing an assessment for a prospect or a client, or actually helping clients. You're not going to come out of the gate the first time necessarily and hit a home run.
No.
You've got to do it over and over and over again. And by the time you've done it half a dozen times, now you're getting a little better at it and you're starting to find the breakthroughs. But so many people give up after
Absolutely.
a few failures. They go, I'm not cut out for this.
But you see, Pat, that is one of the things at Headsmart Global that we help coaches not to do. Because if you look at this analogy, a lot of coaches come up and as soon as they become a coach, somebody says to them, see this big bag? There's all your ingredients to become a great coach.
Yeah.
Now go and become a great coach. It's like saying to somebody who's never baked a cake in his life and said, here's a big brown bag. All the ingredients is in there. Bang, bake me a fruitcake. No recipe, no nothing. Now I know that when that fruitcake's going to come out, it's going to be inedible. But when I say to somebody, have you ever baked before? No. Okay, here's your ingredients. Here is your recipe. Here's your guidelines. Here's your framework.
Yep.
Follow it step by step. Don't skip. Step by step. And I promise you, you'll have a decent fruitcake. It might not be perfect, but it will be edible.
Sure.
And that is, I knew nothing about webinars. And I read this Expert Secrets, did my first webinar, and within 15 minutes, half the audience left. And eventually I had two people that stayed until the end.
That's your mom and dad?
No, it wasn't, unfortunately, but it was good friends of mine. But the main thing is, my first 9 webinars has bombed completely. Every single time I got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit. And if you don't follow a recipe, if you don't follow a system, and you have the support, that's important. The support to help you through. Coaches will give up. I've seen it happen by the hundreds.
Right.
They don't get the support. They plug in, they pulling straws because they got to, they got to pay for their coaching business. And then they say,
So
"Well, this is a waste of time."
let me ask you, what's the role of, do you have any healthy critics in your life?
My
Who
wife,
looks at what you do and just says, hey, Anton, this isn't very good. You need to make
my
it
wife,
better. Your wife.
my wife. She's retired, but my wife worked for governments.
Yeah.
She worked for the South African government years ago in the South African Reserve Bank. She got loans for the South African government, and I mean, she's 5'2", but she's a pocket rocket. I call her
Yeah.
as sharp as you can get when it comes to business. And even when I compile a letter, bearing in mind I've got a law degree, I was taught how to do letters.
Sure. Of course.
I take my letter to her and say, "Sweetie, can you please read this for me, please?"
Yep.
And she will take that, she puts it down, takes a pen, and I have to leave. I
Yep.
can't
Yep.
sit there. And
It's
and she,
painful.
if like with Headsmart, when we were launching this, I said, "I need to run something by you, please." And I always know that she'll give me the best possible advice.
Yep.
And she came back and she said, "I like this, but be careful with this because people can look at it from a. I don't know your business at all, but people can look from it from a different angle. I might not know your business, but I know business. I know the principles of business. So yeah, if there's one person that I know that can critique what I do, and again, I'm very blessed in the fact that I have got someone
Yeah.
that I can go to and say, "I need your help. I just need your thoughts. What do you think?" And if she says to me, "Don't do it because of this reason," I
Yep.
just won't do it. Because the times when I ignored her advice, I burnt my fingers.
Yep. Absolutely. So my wife is the same. Of course, we're working in the same business, but I learned the hard way not to ask for her advice because I'd get embarrassed. And then someone gave me
Well,
a,
sometimes it's frustrating, isn't it?
oh, it's horribly frustrating sometimes. But critics at the right moment are invaluable. You just don't want
Absolutely.
them when you're dreaming about things. You want the dream needs time to develop, right? If I'm creating a presentation, you have to have time to develop the presentation. You
Yes.
have to, like, this is what I did when I first got into speaking from the stage in a business setting. I would go and develop a presentation. I'd do my best. It was PowerPoints and old PowerPoints in the days, and writing the script and practicing the script and
Yeah.
not quite memorizing it, but getting very, very familiar with it.
Yeah.
And then I'd bring it to my wife, who was better at business than I was, bring it to my team, a small team I had. And then I said, I want to deliver this in front of you, and I want you to be critical. I might be your boss, but I don't want to be embarrassed in front of dozens of people and the media
Yeah.
when you can save me from that embarrassment up front. So then I delivered it. And then I said, okay, and I just said, hold your criticism to the end, take notes. Now, how can this be improved? And I got right across the room. You could do this better. You could do this better, all the way across.
Absolutely.
And so then what I'd do, I'd go back to my office or my room, whatever, wherever I was working on it. I would make the changes. I would then practice again several times. And these are like 45-minute speeches or modules. Practice several times. I then reschedule with my team and say, I'm ready for round two. I want you to bring your criticism again. And then I delivered it again, and they gave me more criticism, and it was more fine tuning. I took that. I then made changes. I then practiced it again 4 or 5 times,
Yes.
and then I'm ready for the stage. But at this point, I've walked through that presentation 30 times.
Absolutely.
And I did that over, 4 days of content
Absolutely.
over and over and over and over again, so that when I'm standing on stage, I can deliver confidently. And I know that what I brought is something that can hold and rivet an audience. But
Absolutely.
everyone needs a critic in their life.
Absolutely.
You just need them at the right moment, or else
Absolutely.
you get angry with them. You get I don't even know what the word is. You get
Frustrated.
it can frustrate. It can ruin a relationship if people are
Absolutely.
criticizing at the right moment. So if you're a critic, anyway, just a message to critics out there. If you're a critic, you're valuable on a team at the right
Absolutely.
moment.
Absolutely. But I've
Yeah.
always, the one thing that I've learned in my life is that if you want to be successful in what it is that you do, you got to be able to take criticism. The problem is most people take criticism personally,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Right.
It's not personally. But what is the one thing that is vitally important, and that is what I try to tell coaches: you've got to learn this. Print it off, stick it on your wall in your office. If you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail.
Yep.
Absolutely. Every single time that I did a challenge, for argument's sake, and I didn't get time or didn't make time or prioritize my time for the next day's lesson, I thought, I know this, I'll just wing it. It was a disaster. But everything that I've taught myself, even if I go to see a client, when we use software or anything like that, the previous software that we used is the fact that I look at it and I said, okay, what does the client look like?
Yeah.
So by the time I sit down with the client, I already know his whole plan because
Yep.
I've practiced it. I've researched it. I knew what solutions, I knew what questions to ask, when to ask the questions. So I'm making my sales process simple.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you have to prepare.
There's a great
As a
quote.
coach, consultant, you have to prepare.
Yep. There's a great quote either by George Foreman or Muhammad Ali. I think it was Foreman. He said, if you cheat on your training in the dark of the morning, you'll get found out under the bright lights.
Absolutely.
And so I think a lot for myself for many years, I thought, I'm not ready for the lights. I'm in training. Day after day of what am I going to do today? Am I going to sit down and watch Netflix, or I'm going to open up one of those books, for example, like you said, and learn things and take notes, practice something? It's like I'm in training, because if I cheat on this today, I'm going to be found out under the bright lights tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
hey, listen, Anton, our time is up. I would like to ask you, where can our listeners, our viewers find you?
Well, Headsmart Global, we've got there, we inviting, all they have to do is go to headsmartglobal.com. What we do there is, there's a video on the landing page so people can see who we are, what we do, and why we do it. Also, if they register, they get an invitation to come onto our weekly coaching calls for free for 1 week, and on top of that, they can also download my new book called The Impact Multiplier. Nice. And then we'll start communicating with them and invite them. The reason why we want them to come and see what we do is because it's like, come and check us out. If you like us, then talk to us. We would love to bring you into our community, because we building a community of like-minded people,
Yep.
people that wants this more than just anything else. They're not looking for a job. They're looking for a paradigm shift in their life and in the life of other people. So yeah, headsmartglobal.com. Just go there and fill in your name and email address, and we'll be in touch with you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Anton, so much for your time today. And this,
It was my pleasure and an
yeah,
honor to
such a
be here,
pleasure.
Pat.
All right. Blessings on you.
Same to you. God bless you. Take care.